right, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, please give a rousing Spartan welcome to the Executive Director of the Montana Meth Project and our friend, Miss Amy Rue.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Amy Rue, the Executive Director of the Montana Meth Project, and I want to welcome and thank all of you for coming today. We have many friends of the Montana Meth Project here with us, including donors, families, foundations, media partners, and volunteers. Thank you all for your continued support. A special thanks to Sentinel High School Principal Ted Fuller, faculty, staff, and students. We are honored to be your guests today. Since our inception by the Thomas and Stacy Siebel Foundation in 2005, we have been partnering with educators, lawmakers, and most importantly, teens to spread the Not Even Once message. Building off of our award-winning television, radio, print, and billboard ads, we took the Meth Project digital in 2011 with the Ask campaign. That was our online resource for over 350 pieces of meth-related content where teens and adults could learn in encyclopedic detail about this dangerous drug. We are here today to launch the next endeavor for the Montana Meth Project. The campaign is called AskMe. Too many lives have been impacted by meth in our state. To raise awareness about this insidious drug, we are challenging Montanans to share their personal stories about how their lives have been impacted by meth over social media. If we share openly and honestly about it, together we can influence the lives of others and help the next generations of teens to make better, more informed decisions when faced with using meth. The campaign will feature 6 Montanans who have bravely chosen to share their individual and authentic experiences with meth. Craig is the first recovering meth addict who will be featured during the month of May. For the next 4 weeks, Craig will be addressing a new aspect of his addiction via video on the Montana Meth Project Facebook page. Today, Craig is here to personally share his story with you. Please give a warm welcome to Craig.
Hi, my name is Craig Headdress. I'm 26 years old, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about myself and my story. First of all, I just want to tell you that meth is no joke. It's very serious. Meth has destroyed everything around me. It has devastated my life, and it has taken everything from me. It's destroyed my reservation along with my family. My brother has followed in my footsteps, and I have lost 2 of my best friends to suicide. And my ex-girlfriend sold herself for meth while I was locked up. It's the most evil drug that has ever been invented. It will take you by the throat and take you to hell. I used to shoot up every day, and I still have track marks on my arm. The filth that I was surrounded by is indescribable. Needles all over the ground, no running water, kids running the street with no clothes, parents abandoning their kids, all the suicides. I spent 6 years on probation, and I have 7 years to go because of meth. I am from Wolf Point, Montana, and in 2013, I was sentenced with criminal possession of dangerous drugs, and I did not want to go back home because I knew that meth was pretty much everywhere in Wolf Point, and that was the worst decision the state ever could have made for me. As soon as I got back home, I was kicking a heroin and cocaine addiction, so it was really rough for me to get used to living in a small town again after living here for so many years. And I was selling marijuana just to get by, and a relative of mine wanted to get a bag off me, so I went to his house, and he didn't have the money that I wanted, and all he had was meth. So I didn't want to do it at first. He peer pressured me into doing it, and I was just like, I'm not really down for this, and he described to me that it was like taking ecstasy, and I'm very familiar with ecstasy, so I tried it, and it was the most euphoric feeling that I could ever feel. I mean, nothing comes close to that first hit. I mean, it's so intense. It's just this huge rush that goes all over your body. And I fell in love with it. I went home. My dad was diagnosed with colon cancer. And throughout this whole time, I had to take care of him. He just had brain surgery. So it was rough to, see him in this state. And I was going through this terrible breakup, and I was just devastated that I had to move back home. I was the only one taking care of my father. I had all this responsibility. I didn't want to be there. I didn't even want to be alive, honestly. It was rough. And so I pretty much started, using more and more meth, like every other day. And then it just got me hooked. I started doing it every day. I was smoking it. And my parents didn't know at first, and I hid it as well as I could. I tried to avoid eye contact, I would just clean my house, but after staying up for days on end, my parents kind of caught on, and I used to see shadows, voices. I pretty much just lost my mind, and I kept using, and I pretty much went broke, and I didn't have anything left. I mean, I sold everything that I had for meth, and it was just the worst time of my life. The worst part of it was not knowing if I was getting good or bad meth, and it was just horrible. I mean, half the time it wasn't even good. So $60 or more a day, that adds up, and it was just super uncomfortable. But I had to confront my drug dealer a lot because he would give me bad meth, and it was just terrible because, it was absolutely just, it's crazy. But anyways, I would have these hallucinations where I would go and look outside my window, and I think there's cop cars outside for some reason, and I think it's just paranoia being on probation, and the fact that I was absconding from probation. So I'd see red and blue lights outside, and I was just losing my cool, And I kept thinking the cops were outside on their scanners looking for me, and so I to duck down, and it was just a living nightmare. I just seriously want to curl up in a ball and tune everything out, and that lasted for hours on end. And my father got up one night and he's like, "What are you doing?" Because I was right by his bed while he was sleeping, and I was looking out the window, and I kept telling him that the cops were here to take me away. And he looks outside and there's no one out there, and he told me, "You need to go to bed." And that was kind of when I first started using. So I went to bed, I woke up, and I just had this realization this needs to stop. But since I'm in a small town, there's nothing to do, and all my friends use meth, so I just kept using. And it got so out of hand, I started getting really violent with everyone. I ended up punching my father in the face, and I never thought I would do that. And he's 66 years old. He's elderly. He has Parkinson's disease. And I punched him in the mouth because he was just trying to help me. He cooked me some food, and I just yelled at him. I screamed in his face, and I hit him. And so I left the house after that, and I knew that the cops were looking for me because, my auntie called the cops on him, and he called me and told me that. But I got arrested for elder abuse, and I did 18 days in jail, and it just sucked, I was really disappointed in myself. But as soon as I got out, I went straight to my brother's house, and I shot up probably a half gram of meth, and Like, it was one of those rushes where I literally threw up all over. I almost fainted because it was so strong. And I continued to just keep doing that every other chance I could, you know. The more the better, and I didn't want to live. Like, that's where I was at with it. I did not want to live my life. I mean, just the paranoia. I would think people were inside my attic. You know, I thought one day that my friends were gonna set me up, and I like put my ear to the vent, the floor vent, and I kept hearing them, like, thinking that they're gonna set me up and turn me into the cops, and so I just lost my crap. I was screaming at my father, I degraded my little nephew, and looking back on that wasn't me. I mean, that's what meth does to you. And I mean, I never thought I would do that to my family. I went to jail so many times. I kicked in my front door at my mom's house, and I tried stabbing my little brother with a knife. I went to jail a couple times after that, and then I was homeless, and I was homeless here before I got sentenced, and I was fine with that because I had friends here that let me stay on the couch. But being homeless in your hometown, that was like the worst. It's the roughest feeling because you have nobody there. My family like disowned me, and they wanted nothing to do with me. It was so hard to just like even go around my family. I had restraining orders against me. I was very violent. I hated what I became. And I didn't want to live my life anymore. It ruined my life. I spent the last 2 years locked up. Before I got locked up, I ended up getting bad meth here in Missoula. I absconded. I abandoned my father. I was tired and fed up of living in Wolf Point, Montana, so I went on the run, and I went to the casino. I gambled. I got like $60. It was super high. I caught a ride all the way to Kalispell, and I met this girl here in Missoula, and she kept me safe from the authorities. And so I lived here for a while. Well, I think it was 8 months I was on the run, and every day that went by on the run was the worst. It was like having to look over my shoulder. I'd like freak out on people. I'd get out of the car. I'd think they're setting me up, you know, having to deal with like these big time meth dealers who would come over to a house after robbing like these guys for like $2,500 worth of meth, and then having them there in our house is just really rough. And I mean, there was a time where some skinhead dude, I woke up to hearing a shake, like a weird, it sounded like salt in a bottle, and the skinhead was cooking meth in our house, and it smelled of chemicals. It was really gross. It was just the worst smell, and he wouldn't get out of our house, so we left, and he stayed there for like 3 days cooking meth, and we had like pretty much nowhere to go. We had to leave our own place because her roommate was just out of control. Along with meth, he would carpet surf, you know. He would get on his like hands and knees and go through the carpet looking for meth, spending like hours on end. And yeah, I just look at him and I'm like, that I never want to be like that. And I found myself doing it a couple times. But I also like had this experience where I ended up thinking I had meth bugs, and I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's when you get like this like overwhelming feeling that something's biting you. And if I thought I had meth, or not meth, lice, but I shaved all the hair on my body, and I called my brother and I told him that I need you to take me to the hospital and get me checked out because I have all these bugs all over me. So I shaved off all my hair, I put it in a bag, and he drives me to the hospital. I go see the doc, and I'm like, you know, I have lice. I need you to help me out. Give me something that will stop this. I'm getting bit. And he's like, he looks in the bag, and he's like, there's nothing here. And I looked in the bag, and there was nothing there. And I got driven back home, and my brother was just like, you know, you need to quit. You're getting really bad. And I was 140 pounds. I was just sucked up. I was super skinny. And, you know, when I got here to Missoula, it got so bad because the meth here is a lot different. It's cut with bath salts. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but bath salts are terrible. It made me hallucinate. Me and my girlfriend ended up doing a 0.5 gram shot each, and that is a lot. I mean, if one of you guys would have taken that and just not trying meth, that would kill you or put you in the hospital. It'd do something severe to you. It'd really screw you up. But I ended up seeing like bugs on my ceiling dropping down, like we're hallucinating so bad. And I'd see like spirits in my house, like I thought there was people wandering in my house. And I just was like, what the hell is going on here? It's like, what are these people doing in my house? And my girlfriend was not making sense, and I couldn't handle it. I was just like, I can't deal with this. I thought she was setting me up too, and I thought she was gonna, have the cops come over and arrest me. And so I was so exhausted just from stressing out and hiding in my closet all night that I ended up just passing out there. And I woke up in the morning, I seen her on the bed, and we still had a little bit of that meth left. So I ended up shooting up more meth. And when I shot up, I instantly started seeing people again. And it was just like right where I left off. And I swallowed 6 lorazepams, and I waited by the bed and looking out of my window and waiting for my probation officer to show up. And I was gonna take my life. I was gonna commit suicide with some scissors. I didn't want to get locked up. And I got a phone call from my probation officer, and he told me that if I didn't show up, there was going to be a warrant for my arrest. So I ended up leaving the house, and I tried to mask my urine with a drink, and that didn't work. But I went to his office. I was in and out of consciousness. I was blacking out, and I ended up going into the UA room, doing a UA, and I couldn't even stand up. I was like staggering all over the place, so high. And they dragged me over to the jail, and there they put me in this little holding cell. And from there on out, I was smashing my head. I'd fall over, smack my head off the concrete walls, thinking that there were spiders in the cell. And it was so crazy. And like, I don't know, after that, I got locked up, and I spent 3 years in the mask program, and then I got sentenced to Nexus, and that's where I started my recovery. But when I got locked up, I was so blessed that happened, because I was so out of control, and if I didn't stop using, I wouldn't be here today telling my story, and I'd probably be dead. I probably would have committed suicide. That's how bad I was. I hated my life, I hated what I had become. It's a choice that I never wanted, but I made, and it will always affect me for the rest of my life. I have hepatitis C because of this. I was given a dirty needle by a relative of mine, and that has shortened my lifespan and my health. The biggest thing I regret is hurting my family. I called my mother every dirty name in the book, and I told my father I wanted him dead so many times. And I tried to kill myself. My 2 best friends killed themselves because of this drug. They hung themselves in their front yards. And I just tried to destroy myself in the worst possible way. And it was really life-changing for me, to go through all this. And my biggest regret is to give people the hepatitis C that I had, and knowing that I was giving it to these people. And it's the dirtiest thing that I could have ever done. And it's a real blessing that I'm here today. I'm actually doing really well for myself. But yeah, I just want to thank Amy Rue for giving me the opportunity to come up here and speak. I never would have thought I'd have like a commercial or a billboard or be in front of you guys talking to you. And so yeah, that's what I have.
Wow. Thank you, Craig, for sharing your experience, strength, and hope with all of us. While we have your attention, I'd like to share the first of the Montana Meth Project's video spots featuring Craig.
I'm Greg. I started off smoking meth. I've lost so many friends to suicide because of this drug. It seems like this is a narco-genocide. Native American culture is destroyed, and if I want to survive and live and be a functioning person to this day, I can't go back home. It makes me sad because I want to go back home, and it just feels like I'm a refugee of some sort.
So students, you were fortunate enough to hear firsthand from Craig. We're asking that you get the conversation started with your social networks by using special Snapchat filters that the Montana Meth Project has created that are accessible to you here today on campus at Sentinel. We've also provided these for the top 25 largest public and private schools across the state of Montana. We hope that you will watch each week as we release new first-person video accounts by Montanans describing their personal experience with meth. Please be sure to share these authentic stories with your friends in your social network so that they are informed and can engage in this important conversation. Lastly, please update your Facebook profile page on the first Thursday of every month, starting today with the AskMe logo. This is available on our Facebook page, and this will help others engage in the conversation about how meth has affected you, your family members, and your community. Again, thank you to Principal Ted Fuller and the Sentinel student body for graciously hosting us today.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we depart for fourth period, I want to thank you all for being the outstanding audience that you always are. And again, we talk a lot about courage and heroes, and I think sometimes we look to, hang on, I hear that, don't move. We'll let that roll just for 1 second. We look to the traditional heroes in our societies and communities. I think it goes without saying, Craig, who, as has been said, shared his story very courageously, is a shining example of true courage. So as you leave today and think about his message and think about courage, hopefully you are inspired by his strength and transformation, and you can gain some strength and transformation for yourself from him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks. You've been awesome. Head to fourth period.